What's going on, guys? And thank you for tuning back in today. We have Shannon Cole, my man, hitting top 64 at the One Piece Regionals here in Perth just yesterday, and it was an exciting time. So, first of all, man, I just want to say, take us through your experience through the One Piece Regionals.
Yeah, it was really good. I'm really excited we got to have our first Perth One Piece Regionals. We live a bit further away from the organisers than all the other states, so this is the first time we've actually gotten one. So big shout out to TAC for bringing it here. It was really fun having an event where I knew like so many people there. Like the Perth community is really big, so knowing everyone there. But then all the Eastern players that came over all look really good. Like I know a lot of them as well, and it's just so nice seeing so many faces. And they're all friendly, and it's just such a good community. Like the One Piece is such a great game. So thank you to all the East boys for coming over and supporting Perth as well.
Awesome, man. So we're just going to run through the day a little bit. How were your matchups through the day? Yeah.
I actually think I had really good matchups. Like really good matchups, and it kind of makes me sad. I feel like with the matchups I got, I probably could have got a bit further, but a couple games I fell short with the cards that I had, or how the games went. There was just something missing in it. But I actually felt really fortunate with my matchups. So that was pretty good. It was a lot of Enel. Enel's really easy with Perona. I only versed one Lucci, which is the matchup I really don't want to verse, and I did win that one. And then we versed BY. That one went really well. I think Perona does really well into BY. We versed a Moria, which I lost, and that should be a good matchup for Perona, so that one was a bit unfortunate. We lost to one RP, and yeah, so it was kind of a good mix, but it was heavy on the Enel, which was really happy for me. It's so free into Enel. It's really fun versing Enel with this deck. I reckon more compared to the other black decks as well.
Yeah, awesome, man, awesome. So let's jump straight into the profile.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so this is the leader. I'm sure you all know what it does. Have you got a good look of it there?
I sure do, my man. I'll just zoom into that.
Yeah. But I'm just going to run you through it because when I go through some of the cards, there might be some things you don't realize. There might be some things you don't realize when you're sort of playing and when they come up. So there's two options that you can do with the Perona leader. And the first one is you can neg something by one cost, or that might be the second one. Either way, one of them is you can neg your opponent's character by one cost, which can come in really handy. And the other option is you can rest a 4 cost, which is really important because our main KO card KOs something when it's rested, so you need that effect. But that effect can also be really good just to do turns without those cards. If you're not thinking about how to use the rest when you don't have KO cards, or potentially you want to save that card for later, then you're not going to be using the leader to its full potential. So I think you really do want to think about how you can use the leader effect to get value without using your cards and saving them for later. So I'm going to run through the package that I'm running. So the deck list is kind of inspired from Harrison, one of our actual Yu-Gi-Oh players. I was looking for a fun deck to play for this event. I just wanted to play something a bit different. And I saw him playing Perona, and it was doing really well. The two main cores is it's kind of like a black navy type core, as well as the main other cards are our Wano cards, and the Wano engine is so fun. If you guys haven't tried this deck, I'd really highly suggest it. So the first card we've got here is Momo. So if you don't know what Momo does, it searches Wano. You pay one to tap it. It's like the body searches. And one of the best things about this is it searches the next value card. So number one, it can search itself, so you can just keep getting Momos. It can also get your other Wano value cards. So we've got our Otama. So this is another searcher. It's also a 2K, so it fits into the deck perfectly. Searchable by Momo. This can find Momo as well. And it can find all your other Wano cards. So it's really a perfect card for this deck. And it's really insane having two searchers that can find each other and find other pieces. You just get to go through your deck insanely quickly. And it works so well with having a third card. So we've got 12 cards here that help us get through our deck. This one's You Can Be My Samurai. You pay 1 and rest 2 characters to draw 2 cards. So I don't know if you know Sanji's Pilaf for blue. That draws 2 cards. It costs 3. This costs 2 less. So it's really efficient, but you have to rest your characters, and if your opponent can punish you, then it's not the best. But we run so many small characters that we don't care about, like what our opponents do, what they do to them, that it can end up being free most of the time. Or if they're swinging into our small characters, it ends up being a plus side, and I'll get to that when we sort of get to them. So with that Wano package, we sort of have to run some other cards just to sort of boost the numbers up. Hiyori we run as a 2 of. It's not honestly my favorite card because we don't run too many like green 5 costs, so it's not cheating anything out. The only reason it's run over maybe some other Wano cards is that it's kind of needed for the RP matchup. In RP lore, if you play your Ryuma, which we'll see in a little bit, it's a 4 cost that kills a 4 cost that's rested. So you want that against RP lore. If you play it in the early game, they'll bot deck it. It won't be in your trash. When you get to Moria, you won't have a Ryuma in trash, and you can't Moria into Ryuma. So this card, what it does is you play it, and then you can activate its main, put it in the trash, play a 4 cost or 5 cost or less Wano, which would be your Ryuma in hand, which doesn't have counter. You get to play that out and then draw a card. So it's basically like having Ryuma in the trash. So you can counter this from hand, put it in your trash, bring it back with Moria, turn it into your Ryuma from hand, draw a card. So it's like being able to counter out with your Ryuma almost. So it's really nice to just sort of clean your hand up like that. And the other benefit you can do with this card is if you play it, you can rest it. So let's say you had like an Otama and the Hiyori out. You can rest these two, and then when you bring out your Ryuma, I'm just going to steal it. If you bring out your Ryuma afterwards, he won't be rested. So it works nicely with this card as well, being able to rest the Hiyori. But it's not that impactful, so I wouldn't want to run too many more. Like it does clean the deck up, but it's not something you really want to like see that much of, in my opinion. So, and the other cards, we run Izo. You don't really need the rest effect that often. It does come up. I've used it, but not as much in other decks because you have your leader, of course. So the Izo it's just pretty much a 1 or 2k. It also has the rest effect there. We run one little dude for Wano. So this guy gets to kill a 1 cost that is rested. So you tap him and do that. It's a repeatable effect. It's a nice effect against decks that run lore cards like RP lore. Ice Age something, rest with your leader, use this. They've kind of got to kill it, otherwise you can keep using his effect. It's also searchable. If you miss your Ryumas, maybe you need a kill card, he's in there. It's not a mandatory card, but it's nice to have just an extra 1 card that you can search out to kill things. For the deck, we really struggle into black if we don't run these cards, and you sort of want some cards that you can play down that don't have an effect, like sort of before your opponent plays anything. So Borsellino is great. It's a card that you just play, it won't be killed, and you can just sort of stick there the whole game. You can also play it off your Moria if you're doing like value turns, where you're like bringing your searches out with your Moria and your Borsellino. And to go along with that, we also play 3 Sabo, which helps us filter as well as that. I just find the Borsellino's a little bit nicer because it has that 4 cost curve, so you can play it at 4, and then you can start doing some fancy stuff afterwards, where Sabi you can only play a little bit after. It's really important to have both. I think you need that unkillable to be able to beat like Lucci. And then if we're wanting to kill stuff, we'll need our kill cards and we'll need our big boys. So this is like the main card we want to be seeing a lot of the time, which is our Ryoma. So it's a 4/6k, so like vanilla stats. You don't get counter, but you'll be playing it out, so it shouldn't brick up your hand too much unless you're seeing them too late. It has on play KO a opponent's character that costs 4 or less and is rested. So with your leader effect, if they have a 4 cost, you rest it, you play this, you kill it. If they have something that's a bit higher than a 4 cost, so maybe a 5 cost, if the 5 cost is already rested, then you can use your leader effect and kill it. Otherwise, if it's a bit bigger or it's active, you're going to have to use some cards that neg your cost, and we'll get to those shortly. But yeah, so pretty much imagine if you have an Ice Age, you can Ice Age a 9 cost, becomes a 4 cost, rest it, Roma, kill it. So it's a really good card. You get to hit really tall things for like very minimal input. And this card, you will always be finding it. There are some games you don't see it. That's happened to me. But you'll be able to see it off your Otama, your You Can Be My Samurai, and your Momo. You just go through your deck and you should be finding this because it's Wano. Then some of our other important cards, we've got the Moria. So I think everyone knows what Moria does now. I'm not going to go through it too much. What I will do is I'll go through some of the combos that you will be doing very often. So what I might do is I'm just going to get the Ice Age out now, because this is a card you use. If you don't know what Ice Age does, it makes something by 5. So a very common play you'll do is if you're at 9, or let's say you're at 10 Don, you'll go something like Ice Age, maybe a Yamato, comes a 4 cost, leader effect, rest it. You play out your Moria, you get your Ryoma from your graveyard, it'll kill it, and then your other card could be Otama. That goes and draws you like a You Can Be My Samurai. You've killed the Yamato, you use You Can Be My Samurai, rest 2 cards, draw 2 cards, you search, drew 2, killed the, like, it's just so much value. It's so fun just going through your deck like that. And then the You Can Be My Samurai is so important to be using it. There's times where you might think you don't want to use it, but you need to keep using it just so you can get to your bigger bodies, because they're not searchable like your Wano cards are. So you really want to see those. And that's why we run so many. So I'll show you the other big bodies we run. We run 3 Savo. It might seem like a lot, but we need kill cards and we need big bodies. This deck wants to see big bodies, and you're killing stuff. So even though you've got bricks, it's on it. It doesn't feel too bad. It's also really good against RP Law, because RP Law, you can neg 1, so it means you can hit the 5 and a 4 cost, and also we don't run Luchi, we only run Ryoma, so it's nice to have a card that can double KO. As well as the Sabo doesn't have to have the Ryoma trash. So if you've only seen one Ryoma and you don't have a second one for your Moria, then Sabo comes out a lot cleaner. It also was kind of an MVP against me, for me against BY Luffy against one of the games today. I didn't expect it to be, but what happened was he played a 5 cost Luffy that self-awakened. I killed that with Ryoma. Next turn he was at 7. He played another 5 cost Luffy that awakened. I played this, killed it. He didn't have any other awakeners. He played like a value Moria turn. I played a second Sabo, cleared his whole board. He was just in shambles after that. So it was actually an MVP for that. Really good to have big numbers. I was going to cut this to less because I didn't want to have too many dead cards, but I just think you need it. Like, it's so impactful. The last boss monster I run is 2 Zoro. The reason I ran 2 Zoro is because we're seeing a lot of Nami pop up around us. As well as I find it's good into BY and NL. I don't think it's needed into those 2 decks. I think we kind of already have a good matchup. But I mean, hey, having a nail in the coffin against those matchups is kind of nice. And I mean, I just really wanted an answer to Nami. And one, like, I don't know, if you see or you bot deck it, it can kind of just suck. So this deck just like sort of sinks the Nami matchup for you if you do see it. We've got a lot of kill here, but it can be hard to reach the bigger targets. That's why we need the neg. So we've got Ice Age. It'll neg things by 5. It puts a lot of the big bodies in range. For the 5 costs are kind of what this meta is about. So that's what you'll end up having to deal with a lot of the time if it's not a 4 cost. So this is where we have Suru and Belmere. So I run 4 Suru, 3 Belmere. With the Suru, it negs it by 2, Belmere negs by 1, but it's reusable and it gets plus 1k. The one thing I like about Belmere is you can use it and then they kind of have to swing into it. Which is like kind of the whole theme of this deck, is you're having all these like little things that get rested, like, I don't know, you got all these things that get rested and then they almost feel like, because you've got this You Could Be My Samurai, if they leave them up, I just keep getting value. Like 1 cost, draw 2, 1 cost, draw 2, neg 1, get an extra card, and they just get overwhelmed and they actually realize they have to start swinging into these, because if they don't, I just get to sort of use them how I want. So that's why I run 3 of this Belmere, because it just applies a lot of pressure. And another thing with this Belmere is it's really good against BY. You get to constantly neg, and they have to swing into it, so it almost becomes like a blocker, because otherwise you just get to keep resting their 5 costs.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So just running back on it, is there any changes that you'll make to the deck, you reckon?
For the current meta, I'm not really sure. To be honest, I didn't burst that many Nami, and like I was saying, I don't know if Zoro's really fun, and it came in handy on an NL game, but I didn't really play any other games. But at the same time, it was never a card I felt that was like hampering my hand.
Yeah.
Against Enel, the way you want to play this card is if you want to sort of kill like your Sabo and your Moria, and you sort of go back and forth. They'll play Katakuri on it. You'll play an 8 cost again. They'll kill it. You'll play an 8 cost again, and then usually what will happen is they'll run out of 8 costs. They'll play a Rygo and kill one of your 8 costs. And after they play Rygo, number one, they've used one Rygo, so hopefully they don't have another. They might. But they also didn't play a body, and so it means that they aren't really putting any pressure on. So it means you get to play the Sorrow really. So they're not going to be like they're probably giving you life from their 8 cost category. You play this, you feel safe, and then if they don't have a Rygo, you pretty much win.
Yeah.
So it really sinks that matchup in. It sinks in BY and it sinks in Nami. So even though it didn't do much for me on the day, but theoretically it really is a card that helps out a lot. So it's probably the card I'd be looking to change, but I don't really know what fits the spot because being a full life leader, I don't know if Isho really that doesn't really feel safe for me to drop a lot of the time anyway. But yeah, and the cards that you might think I'm missing sort of from the deck are because we've got navy and we've got black and we've got like dead cards. Some people like to either run brand new or a new pay. So if you know what brand new is, it searches top 3 for navies, but be searching these sorts of cards. It searches the Porcelino. But I don't have a huge amount of navy in this deck, so I don't really want to run a card, and I don't need that much trash. It doesn't play like more or Lucci where I'm that reliant on my trash. And a Nupe is a 2/3 that draws 2 trash too, which is really good for cycling through your deck. But the reason I don't like that card is because I'm just playing these one cards. This is like what I like to do in the early game. I will just spam these. Like I'm playing Momo, get a Momo, play Momo, get an Otama, get an Otama. You can be my samurai. So all my early game is just those cards like spamming on each other to get value. I'll have like these like multiple cards rested. They play a 5 cost. I Suru play like at 6 Don. You might like Suru something. You can be my samurai. Draw 2 with your last 4 Don. You rest and kill. And then they've got to swing into all these little guys. They're not even touching your life. Like every Enel game I played, they kind of want to go aggro against black because it's kind of how you need to beat black with like 7 cost Enel. By the time they're dropping 7 cost Enel, they hadn't even swung at my life yet, like against all of them, because I've just got all these little guys that they're attacking into. They don't want me to keep Momo on the field. They don't want me to keep these characters on the field, so they're never swinging at my life because they're dealing with all the little guys. And yeah, I just find I'm usually finding these, so I don't really need the Anupe or the brand new. I think they don't really fit. So I'm actually pretty happy with the list. I'm not sure what I'd change. I think I'd have to play it a bit more. So yeah, maybe do some more testing, see if there's anything I want to change in the future. Maybe for the RP Law Band, we can cook up Perona. It might be a good deck once that's gone, because you can focus a bit more on the top end and maybe aggro isn't as much of a problem. But Rage is going to be out there, but Ice Age comes in handy for that deck, I find.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much for that. Any shout outs before we head off?
Yeah, big shout out to Harrison, the PX3 Yu-Gi-Oh player. So he was the one playing this. I wanted to find a fun deck to play. I was trying to craft something. I was thinking maybe like Egghead, Fake Punk. But yeah, wasn't really finding something. I saw him playing this. It looked fun. It looked kind of pretty solid. I love all the sort of cantrippy sort of 1 costs. There's not many decks in One Piece where you gotta do a lot of stuff in the early game. It's like 1 Don Pass, 2 Don Pass, 3 Don Pass. I play my 4 costs. If I've got a couple Don left over, I chuck them on my leader. Where this deck is like all that little spare Don, you get to just like put things in there. So thank you to Harrison for showing me the deck. And thank you to all the PX3 boys and all the Eternal Magic boys. There's too many for me to shout out by name. Big congrats to the guys that made it into top 16 though from PX3. So we had Sal came second. We also had Pan, I think, made top 8. And Casey made top 16. And then there was a bunch of EM boys in there as well.
We completely dominated this weekend.
Yeah.
Both One Piece and Dragon Ball.
And then, yeah. And then I shout out to myself for Dragon Ball the next day.
That's my this guy.
I got a serial Goku today in Dragon Ball, and I hardly played that game, so
yeah,
I'm happy with that. I'm pretty happy with the weekend. Top 64 with Perona. I'm a little bit disappointed because I think the matchups were really good, so I think I could have got a bit higher. So it's a bit disappointing to me. Like I kind of get lucky in one streak, but I think like some of the games, like I think I had games where I just didn't see any anybody's. I just saw like these sorts of cards. And like I was literally searching with Momo, and like I was only finding these cards. I think I did multiple searches, and I don't know where the Rome is. They must have been right at the bottom of the deck, and same with the Borsalinos and that. And I think realistically, I think you should be hitting with Rome when you're doing that many searches. So yeah, I don't know, just a bit unlucky some of those games. But I think yeah, it was a really fun day, and yeah, it was really great meeting everyone.
Cool, man. Well, thank you very much for sharing that profile. Congratulations again on a spectacular weekend here in Perth, man. You know, like you said, top 64 in One Piece and top 16, unbelievable in Fusion World. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe as well, and to hit that bell to stay notified. And as always, we will see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.